Caldwell.
Here.
Fred Burton.
Here.
Rob Sesternino.
Seahawks, here.
Bernie Ash.
Here.
Tick Bryan.
Here.
Kathy Warman. Here. All present.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for January 6, 2015, regular call city council meeting.
Second.
Have first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Communications from citizens. If anyone would like to make comment here at this time, welcome to. Please state your name. Report.
I'm T.A. Bryan, 1736 Summer Place Drive, Lebanon.
Happy birthday, belated.
Yeah, thank you. That big 8-0 got here quick in my life. It'll hit you someday too, maybe. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. I'm chairman of the board of a nonprofit 501c3, Cedar Crop Home Incorporated. Y'all are familiar with that. If you're not, come up and visit sometime. We'd like to show you we have 124 men that we care for on a nonprofit basis, charged based on ability to pay. And I wanted to speak tonight, if I could, and I have a handout here for each council member and the mayor. I didn't make enough for the lawyers, but I'm sorry about that. But anyway, you'll have to approve it anyway. Mr. Springer, I apologize to you too. But that's nothing, just something for you to carry with you to show you. We're not going to do anything about that. I just wanted you to know what we go through up there for inspection. I read in the paper where we're requiring reporting on sprinkler systems. And I'm all for that. I think that's a wonderful thing. The fire department especially, and the public safety people, they need to know that these buildings and these men and folks and the citizens are protected by sprinklers. We're required to have our buildings sprinklered and have for the past 30 years. Back when Reed Hunt Major was acting that capacity, we expected every year by Mr. Kerry Lawson or Pat O'Brien one, and as to fire safety codes, and then the state of Tennessee requires that we have our sprinkler system inspected every year and report to them. And that's a matter that we've done every year and complied with every requirement. But we can't figure out why we would be hit with $75 to mail y'all a piece of paper showing that we've done this, when we've done it for years and it's there for Kerry Lawson. He wrote us up on 2 or 3 little minor things in there, and we have that on file for him to see when he comes. We're inspected. We hire Tennessee, Kentucky Sprinkler Company to come over here and inspect us every year, from the heads on the sprinklers completely. And he writes a report, which is attached to your handout that I gave you tonight. $75 might not seem like much, but to administer that program, $75 for a nonprofit 501c3, which is actually a faith-based company. We're not a church, and we don't intend to be, and don't want to be, but that's why we started based on Matthew, the 25th chapter. So, if you could, do this ordinance. This is great, but I don't see why a nonprofit should pay $75 to mail you a letter or to hand our inspection report to Kerry when he comes up to inspect us. Thank y'all for your time and attention. Appreciate it.
Appreciate what you do up there too. Y'all do a great job. Anyone else like to address council?
My name is Derek Dodson. It's almost an annual tradition this time of year. Mayor Craighead provides much excitement in this community by offering up his $70 million arena proposal. On September the 16th in this council meeting, at this microphone, I forecast that you would indeed be offering up your annual sinking fund and entertainment district. And then on the 23rd of October, you said indeed you would on the Colin Walker Show. So when can we expect that excitement?
Just go on and finish your comments.
Well, it's a question. Would you like to answer? I mean, you said on the radio that you indeed would be doing that, and we do this every time at this time of year. So when are we going to do it?
I don't have a timetable yet.
That's a good answer. And you're right. In 2011, on the annual ordinance for a $70 million arena, sinking fund and entertainment district, 2011, in your ordinance, it said an event center. Since then, it's been open-ended. It doesn't say anything about an event center. It just says improvements for the district. Why the shift from an event center in the ordinance to nothing specific in the ordinance. In other words, that means anything could go in the entertainment district.
Yeah, 2011 was probably the last time I drafted anything even remotely related to that particular topic, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Well, Resolution 1591, which is 2011, says to request certain amendments to the state of Tennessee code relative to the creation of entertainment district and development of event center in Lebanon.
Right.
And then, as you well know, I don't have to remind you what it said last year. It didn't say anything about an event center, so why the difference?
And what you're talking about, I don't have enough information to answer your question.
Would you like for me to read you the ordinance from last year, where it says simply nothing about an event center? It simply says for improvements and development of the district, without reading every word of it.
What's the title of it?
4502.
No, the title.
It doesn't really have a title. It just says ordinance number 134502.
An ordinance of the city of Lebanon
To establish a local community development fund representing an equivalent amount of property tax increases and sales taxes obtained in the Cumberland Center Development District for the purpose of funding improvements in and the development of the district. I'll let that go.
Honestly, I don't know. If you want to call me tomorrow, I'd like
Okay.
to look into it.
I'll let that go. Moving on. Sales tax referendum once again. Mayor Craighead, December 3rd, 2013. I ask you at this microphone, why can't the citizens of this community vote with regard to an arena by a sales tax referendum? You replied to me, if you were to designate a half cent, that would be awesome, because a half cent in the city of Lebanon would generate approximately $4 million. Thereafter, on January the 7th, indeed, on the agenda was the vote for a sales tax referendum, but yet not tied to arena. And as we all know at this point, you held a referendum for a sales tax for the purpose also of funding the extension of Legends Drive. And you failed to disclose that to this community, which is incredibly dishonest. In the February 18th council meeting last year, where 4502 was on the agenda, that's the meeting where Councilman Burton voted present, not voting. In that meeting, Mayor Craighead, related to the sales tax referendum, Mr. Burton said, same as I had said, let the people tell us if they say yes to the sales tax referendum, what they want to do. Your reply was, well, I think, this is a direct quote, well, I think what I've been pushing for, the center and all, meaning the event center, pretty well reflects what support I got in the election. So you were reelected in 2012, and you were reelected in part by pushing your arena, but you lied to the community by telling the community that the community had no risk whatsoever for financing the arena or backing the bonds. Then on January the 31st, in the Wilson Post, you finally, after 3 years, and me at this microphone, on your case for 3 years about this issue, you finally came clean and said, indeed, the citizens would have to back in bonds. You've been dishonest for 3 years, not disclosed it, and you came clean, and then you had that to say on February the 18th, that it pretty well reflects the support I got in the election. We lied to the electorate. So then, in the meeting on February the 18th, in order to entice the council's vote for 4502, you had the lures of a memorandum, or rather a lack of a memorandum of understanding with Edler and Capers for the 20-acre land donation. How can they donate land when they don't have the title to it? It went on and on in this council meeting. Your second enticement was your last minute codename Project Legends, which we know now is Good Sports, that they would be losing that opportunity if they failed to vote for that. Yet, here we are, Good Sports is still supposedly interested, yet since that time, it was finally released in the press on August the 20th, and then Jerry Good came in this chamber on August the 27th and met with public officials for about 20 minutes and you 15 minutes prior. In 1 year almost time, I guarantee the public, this council has not discussed Good Sports, yet it's being used as justification to expand Legends Drive, yet it hasn't been discussed. They probably have no information whatsoever. So Jerry Good comes into this facility right here, has a public meeting, and it was all feel-good mush, no substance whatsoever, and you allowed no questions unless the questions were asked afterwards privately. We learned 3 things at that meeting. We learned Jerry Good wants tax incentives. We learned Jerry Good has been treated by the IRS for tax evasion. We learned Jerry Good has no money, yet Good Sports is being used to justify the extension of Legends Drive. Let me bring out with regard to the sales tax referendum, which is very, very important. This is your grid from November the 13th regarding the projections and regarding your projections timetable for an arena, which you have said over and over again publicly that it wouldn't be in play until maybe 8, 12 years, whenever the sinking fund development. But in that grid, you state that the engineering and design will start in 2015. That's this year. Construction will start in 2017, and the center will be open in 2018. So where were you planning on getting all that money? Obviously, you thought the sales tax referendum was going to pass, and that was going to be your sinking fund. And we all know there's not going to be a 1 million square foot shopping center by 86 or so year old J.D. Etherly called the Cumberland Center, which is a lie and a hoax and outrageous. Ain't never going to happen. Ain't never was going to happen. So, with regard to Good Sports, where's your feasibility study? We went through this on the Bible part. In this grid, you don't talk about a feasibility study for this arena. Right here it says your own grid, your own projections. It says an economic impact study, which is nothing but feel-good mush. Where's the feasibility study for the arena? Where's the feasibility study to justify the extension of Legends Drive from Good Sports? Well, guess what? I've got it right here. Thank you, Kansas. Here's the feasibility study. I just took out the pertinent pages. Here's the feasibility study for Good Sports. For those of you who don't know, with regard to Good Sports, their own feasibility study demonstrates that Lebanon is not, emphatically, no way, no how, a market that Good Sports would come into, because the field house, which is not projected to be profitable to begin with, but nonetheless has to have the support of a local community, kids paying to use that facility for facilities for sports fields and sports facilities that this city already has in abundance, oversupplied. Mayor Craig ain't downhill fast, and you want to interrupt me because it ain't looking good. I suggest maybe you crawl under your desk, put your head between your legs, and kiss your bottom goodbye. Pardon me, what would you like to say?
I tell you, why don't you get on to some subject that's pertaining to...
Because this one's killing you, obviously. You would like that, wouldn't you? Let's look at you said publicly that you vetted Good Sports. Let's look at your history. Let's look at your history of vetting. Cortec, TBI, stop that. Bible part, fraud. I've got your own words right here, what you said with regard
Listen, we
to that.
We tried to keep things to about a 3-minute. You've gone way, way over. We appreciate your comments, but I think I have to cut you off right now so we can move on with our meeting.
That's very convenient. That's very convenient, isn't it?
I've asked you to sit down, and so will you please sit down so we can move forward with our meeting? You're interrupting our meeting.
This council, in your position as mayor, excuse me, in your position as mayor, is not the opportunity for unfettered corruption, lies and deceit and fraud by you in this community. You don't get to sit there and use... One more thing.
Yeah, we said that's enough,
It
sir.
is enough.
Sit
Because
down.
you're going to get to hear the rest of it at the next council meeting.
Okay. Moving forward, I want to make a couple of things. The March, yesterday, Monday, we had the largest crowd I think we've ever had. It was a very good Martin Luther King. We had a good meeting afterwards, and appreciate the Mary Harris and all the bunch who kind of put that together for us. Polar Bear Plunge, Tim's not here. I think we raised about... Oh, there you are, Tim. Yes, I'm sorry. Because William's not here tonight. I think we raised close to $6,000. Appreciate that. And also there on the square, things are moving forward and looking good right there. On the I kind of like to read this. I would personally like to thank the Lebanon Police Department and all the detectives for their 24/7 on working toward resolving this case with Ciacia, the Wilson County Sheriff's Department and Sheriff Bryan, Tommy Thompson District Attorney's Office, the FBI, the TBI, Brentwood Police Department, and also the Metro Police Department. And I'm sure there was a lot of others that I need to say thank you, but in that case, I do say thank you for their support, for their hours of diligent work in helping to build a case which will enable them to lead to this individual's capture. I'd also like to thank the family and friends of Ciacia for their patience and their confidence they showed in our law enforcement officers that this individual would be apprehended. I know it's been a trying time for them, and now the process can continue to move forward with the legal parts later. But I just wanted to say thank you to all the law enforcement officers. I know y'all took it to heart, and you really put in the hours, and you were diligent, and it has paid off. And just express that to all the officers.
The investigation is still ongoing, so if anybody has any tips or anything, contact the Lebanon Police Department.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Lebanon Youth Baseball and T-ball and all that signed up. So we've got a great program in our community. And I'll let you know, be sure to go and sign them up. Lanny?
I'm not going to go through the whole list again, Mayor, but just ditto on what you said, because that's the hard work. Well done job. Jeff, just about, have we heard anything about the sidewalks? I know we was just waiting to get a sign off on somebody.
And I was heard Paul waiting for the notice to proceed, I believe, is that correct, Paul? We haven't received it yet, I believe. I would just proceed.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the notice to proceed. I think we've got everything in. I can give you a report when I hear something. I haven't heard anything yet.
Well, I knew that we were just at the point, we were just waiting.
We'll keep out to tell to proceed, that's all.
Okay. All I will try to get back with you, just a couple more questions on the zoning stuff, maybe next week. I'm trying to stay clear of Rob up here. He don't know what I've got. I'm suffering through it.
Well, I expect to have some work done by next Monday, and it may be worth having a work session.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. If we felt like if we, talk to Paul and for any of your questions, but if you feel like if we justify another work session on it, we'll be glad to call one if you want to, 30, 40 minutes, 40 hours before, whatever. So.
You can learn. I mean, I know the ones you had before, you talked us through several things real quick. It helped a lot, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, anything you guys need, I can answer the question.
That's all I have.
All right. Fred?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank the detectives and all the police department for the fine job they've done on apprehending this fugitive, and hope they continue and get it all done. Also, in that vein, Sylvia, have you changed the acting chief's position financially, compensation-wise, working out of his?
The mayor and I have discussed whether that needs to be done, but there's been no change.
Pardon?
There has been no change.
When do you plan on changing?
We were planning to be looking at, working on the ordinance. Talk about it. It's something that we need to discuss.
Okay.
It's something we can.
Okay. Also, Jeff, on 231, have you been out there lately? No, with the poles.
And that one is.
I got a man that's on my back every day out there pulling.
I hadn't checked them out, but we talked about it, so they were moving that day. I had not answered. But then he can ride by tonight and tell us tomorrow on his way home. They were removing, that was, it was so go through, remember?
Yeah. I know you said last week that Middle Tennessee was working on them,
That right, started there next day if we met.
but I haven't seen them out there lately.
Okay, we'll follow up with them, they were, I know I sent there today, but they were actually moving that day.
And also too, when are we gonna bid the sidewalks on East Spring?
It'll be on your agenda, probably next meeting's on the closed agenda for Monday, this coming Monday, so it'll be in your February 2nd, 3rd, the first meeting to approve that list, and you will go to bid.
Okay, that's all I have, ma'am.
Rob,
I don't have anything.
Kurt?
Just want to echo what the mayor said about the police department. I think we have let the criminal element know that if you hurt one of our children, we will hunt you down.
Two.
Yeah, same here. I know it's a long process, and it's a shame things like that happen, but you're doing an excellent job. Something else I wanted to talk about was the square. I don't know how many of you have been around the square recently, but they are working on it. It's looking good. And I got behind a couple of semi-trucks today, and that was interesting, going around there. And I was just wondering, has there ever been any signage or plan or ordinance to keep trucks off the square?
Give you a quick history.
Yeah, give me the quick history. Here we go.
Answer is yes, however, because typically with the federal highway, it cannot be posted, no trucks. Most recently, the last few months, the again, TDOT to consider allows them to post interstate, both at Hartman Drive and back to the east other side of the water exit. Announce a truck route. If you come to the east, you take the bypass, obviously going around 231 or whatever. If you're coming from the west, you take Hartman Drive. At this point, that's not authorized. We've asked it again. This current job, a little more approved why it needs to be a truck bypass or a route. However, at this point, they will not authorize that site signage.
Okay. My opinion is it was a great improvement. For one thing, it slows people down going around the square. And if you've ever tried to navigate from that center parking area to the edge, you'll know what I'm talking about. No one ever stopped, no one ever slowed down. They had signs big as me out there, and nobody was ever paying attention to them. But overall, it was, I think, a great improvement. Now, if we can, navigate the semis, and for a few days there were none, and while they were working on it. But that's something maybe we can look at later.
We'd like to encourage them to use it live, in fact, Mary and I discussed this morning about maybe send a letter to some of the local folks, trucking folks, just remind them, they encourage their drivers to use Hartman or use the direction to be better verified.
Right.
We'd love to say the truck's taking off the route, but maybe they'll come about eventually to at least identify the interstate. There's way too around Lake Square, just passing through.
Right. This one guy came and I kind of met him, and his eyeballs were this big. You could tell that he hadn't seen that recently, so he was kind of freaking about it. Okay, that's all I have.
Kathy?
Yeah, Mayor, and I'm kind of throwing this out, I just been looking at some of the codes violations, and this is just a general question. And Andy, if you could help in some way on this, or maybe you could, or maybe Danny could, somebody. The codes process, basically, if you get a notification of a violation, you can fix it in 24 hours before your due date to get it corrected. And then you keep your nose clean for a small period of time, and then you may be able to go back and do the same thing again. And so what we have is our codes enforcers going the same way, and I bet you some of the reports I've got the same houses over and over and over again. So my question is this: in the due process, would there be a method, if we approved it by ordinance or however we need to do that, to basically say when you get one time, if you're a frequent flyer, excuse me, one mouthful there, if you are there and you're a repeat offender, is there a way when you say, okay, the next time you're there within XYZ days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever it might be, could we not look at a situation where we could say, okay, you don't get the same 30-day window. It's a different window because you've already been here, done that. And you know the rules, we've given you a copy, because I think we furnished everybody a copy of the codes violations, you know, what they've done and where they fit in the scheme of the violation. But my question is this, I mean, I talked to various ones that get, you know, the neighbors, and they're concerned, because it's the same thing, they call, we go, and then they don't do it again. It's like grass, anything else. Why in the world could we not have something that just says, if you've been hit several times with a violation, whatever that is, then you become on a different list, where you don't get the same due process consideration because this is the fourth time we've seen it, or the third time. It would save money at the judge's level, codes level, the hassle of the neighbors and stress and concern of calling. It would also make us really look better because we're actually taking action and it means something. But what happens is they fix it long enough to get off. And then they let it go again, and then they fix it long enough to get off. And it's just a cycle, it's a terrible cycle. And Jeff, I know you know what I'm speaking
I'm
of.
a repeat offenders.
Yeah, and I know, Andy, you're right there with them. Every time they come to court, it's the same, not the same ones, but many of them are repeats over and over again. And they know the rules. And summer's coming up, and grass is gonna, I mean, it's just gonna escalate when the grass starts coming up. So I just was thinking, you know, looking at my list, and the same ones are over there, over, and there's no reason in it if you cannot, if you could implement a policy that we all agree to, and then we give them notice, this is your first time, the next time is different. It's no different than tickets, it's no different than any kind of violation on the road, and many other violations. It just seems like it needs to escalate to where you actually have to do something, and next time it doesn't go so easy. So I would think that would save us a lot of money and headache and stress on our neighbors and our citizens. So just something to think about. And again, I think calling other cities maybe would be a pretty quick way to find out if anybody else has got a better way to skin that cat. But it's just something I've worked on and I've looked at on my own scenarios. I really think would help out. And we don't have that much manpower in that department. So anything that would be effective, it seems like it would be at least a step in a good direction. The other thing I was going to ask about, and this is on behalf of, I guess, Ms. Bryant and I, is are we anywhere with our pad for the children, for the school buses?
I have an estimate from one local contractors. I asked for like 2 or 3. I only actually received 1, but we can move forward. I can make sure we can move forward.
If we could do that when we're doing the sidewalk list, that would be great. And that's to put something over there on Classic View, so they could stand there and not be pushing each other out the road and all kind of manner of stuff, which they do. And they have done for a long time, because kids will be kids, but there's concern that it's really ditches and things that aren't appropriate to stand in. So if we could just put that pad on our sidewalk bed, and I'd appreciate that. I hate for somebody to get hurt, and then we'll be going, I wish we had it, and there's no need in that, really.
A lot of kids get off on them around.
They do.
25 to 30.
They do. It's a lot, and they come from both sides of the road, so just help when they're waiting to get on and then get off. So that would be great if you could assist us in moving along. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor, just one quick I've got, we'll steal some of Rob's thunder. I'm not gonna pull out any names, but everybody that had a hand in getting the agenda out early this week. Thank you and greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just want them to know.
It was a shorter one.
I figured that, but they got it out or something, they just heard it. Thanks for it.
Yeah. Okay. Agenda, the consent agenda with the exclusion of the one that I told was full. We have ordinance 154820. We have ordinance 154821. Ordinance 154822. Ordinance 154823. Ordinance 154824. Ordinance 154825. Ordinance 154826. Ordinance 154827. Ordinance 154829. We're all on the consent.
Mayor, make a motion to approve.
Have a first, and I have a second.
Discussion, the only one thing we can do next time, and I had spoken to the IT about this, one thing we had first talked about when we put these screens up was for them to be down, and if when we have these meetings, if we're gonna do a consent, if we could put those up, because not everybody gets a copy, and then some people that don't have copies can just read it as we're going along. That was all.
That'd be a good idea. That'd be good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passed. Old business, ordinance 144671, second reading approval agreement with, how's it, Morpho Trust USA for the Jerry Floyd Center.
I had this one deferred, but I talked to Tim about it, and he explained just what it is, so I'm going to approve it.
All right, I have a first,
Second.
second.
Just one question, and this is just it's not anything really critical, but I just wondered on this, you signed the contract as the official for the Jimmy Floyd Center, I believe. And I just wondered, this morning I talked to Mr. Springer, and my question was, if we put, or other designated departments, if you get in there in the summertime and it becomes something that's a lot of traffic and you don't have the staff or just, for whatever reason, can we move this to another location if that?
Not without their approval. We had to take, there was 3 of us took,
Classes or
well,
training?
not training yet. We're going to do the training. We have to take a drug screen just to be able to do this. And this is just a fingerprint, and it will be in the front office up there. And they got to do it by schedule. They have to call and schedule it, so we got to make sure that somebody's there. And it's only 8 to 5. We do the hours. So it's $3 per fingerprint that we do, so it's just full revenue for us.
Pardon me, we're not doing notaries like is listed in here?
All I know is
It's got
that
fingerprints, notaries, and photo IDs.
the only thing they told us was doing
And
fingerprints.
we're not doing the notaries. To become a notary, you have to have a background check and go through the fingerprint process. So we're doing fingerprinting for photo IDs and notaries.
Oh, we're doing it for notaries.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood when it said that. Okay, makes perfect. I didn't know we had notaries over there at the rec center, but we might, you know.
No, we don't.
Okay, not today anyway. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. New business, council approval of appointing Dan Mack to the Board of Zoning Appeal. He's been very involved in our community and historic Lebanon.
Motion to approve.
Second. First and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ordinance 154828, first reading to amend Title 7, Lebanon Municipal Code.
Second.
First and second.
Discussion,
On the
please.
sprinkler system. Yes, sir.
Is this the one that there's gonna be a $75 fee?
Yes, it is.
All right. Chief, would you speak to that, please?
What do you want to know about it?
Who came up with $75?
I think it was just the meetings that we had, that's the number that just popped in our head that would be a fair price, put it that way. You add manpower and stuff of that nature when it comes in to pad or carry, whichever one, like like your dad said, would be a fair price to process all of that. This morning, I think we actually talked about the 501(c), and I knew that was going to come up. Was the churches and all that, and so here we are.
Mr. Springer?
Yes.
You
You want me to address the
$75?
Okay. It's an administrative fee that is designed to recover some of the costs that's involved in setting up a database to getting the forms in, to maintaining the records on it, doing any kind of mail outs associated with it, that type of thing. There's not any fee or there's not any paperwork that we bring into the city that's free. I mean, there's a cost associated with all of it. And so this is to recover the cost the administrative part, and whether it's Pat or whether it's secretarial, no matter who it is on your staff. And again, there's got to be a database created. There's nothing there in these records now, as far as these records are concerned now.
And you have the water loss too.
We got the water loss, and see, that's got to be a calculation, because right now, all of these facilities have annual tests that water is run out on the ground, and the city is not reimbursed for that water at all. And some of this information is going to capture the ability for us to calculate what those gallons are that was poured out on the ground, so that those facilities can be billed for. And so that's part of the cost that will be covered by this as well.
How many nonprofits and how many commercial businesses do we have?
It's not many, for as for 501(c), there's not very many. 15, 20 at the most, I think, maybe. Well, I know there's about 15 or 20 churches. Yeah. So, but what this is going to do also, Tick, is it's going to help us get that information on who has a sprinkler system and who has it checked. Keep up with all that stuff, but there's been one place that hadn't been checked since it's been built. And so
That's not good.
that's not good.
Yeah.
And we just had one down there a while ago. If y'all don't know, we just had a fire down on McCowan, and it's the Smith Furniture warehouse or whatever. Sprinkler system put that one out. I mean, the guys went in and it's so cram-packed in there. Sprinkler system actually put that one out. Well, Pat and Kerry stayed on that guy for a long time to get it fixed. And so tonight, it proved this worked.
It's a way of keeping in touch with the businesses too, to make sure that the sprinklers are working.
Yeah, I'm all for it, but
The charge.
yeah, I was just thinking if we could pass this, or this is first reading,
Well,
right?
yeah, this is first reading, and if we pass it like this, then maybe we'll have a discussion. But I did have a kind of an amendment which would exclude churches from it. But if we wanted to extend it to 501c3s, that'd be another issue. But the main thing of it is for our fire department to know what their sprinkler systems, but also make sure that they've been tested and make sure everything's up to par.
Sure. I think it makes sense to exempt them from the administrative portion. If they're going to dump water on the ground, then we may have to capture that water back if it's a large amount. But I think the administrative thing, I don't think it's going to hurt us if the churches and 501c3s, we just waive the $75 for them if there's not a lot. And we just generate a form where they'd have to come in and recertify every year that their 501c3 is still good to go.
The big other thing is on the water department for Jeff and Clayton, they need to capture those losses, and this way.
Maybe it could be a reduced
this
fee,
way. So,
reduced. And we'll talk about that later.
yeah, but there are options here,
Uh-huh.
and if anyone would want to, we pass it tonight as is, and then if you have suggestions, this council, when we vote on this, we can come back with amendments and change to what it is. And if you have an idea that you want to do, well, then we'll pass it along to all the councilmen, and then that way everybody kind of know what other ideas that you have, and then we'll come and vote on it.
Let me just add this real quick. And the difficult part about 501c3s, and I've worked for a lot of them, but some of them are used as tax shelters and not legitimate as far as a church or a church mission or that type thing, but they're a business that's been set up that way to avoid paying taxes. So I don't know, we can look at definitions and kind of see what we might can come up with. It'll give us time between now and the next council meeting to do that.
Sure. Okay?
Okay.
One more question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
After we set up the initial database, I mean, I know there's work involved in setting that up, but on the yearly deal, Chris, when they come back and you're wanting them to send that in where they passed again.
Could be
So
a yearly.
it's not as detailed or involved in, on the second year if they get everything in order, is it?
It's annual, I mean,
But they're just sending it in, it's not like you're setting up the whole database like you
Oh,
did
no.
the first go around.
You might not be setting it up, but we are gonna have to maintain it. Somebody's gonna have to enter the data.
Right, and that whole stuff, it's
and
still
all
gonna
the
be
paper.
$75, I think, is what
I will say, we're going through a very thorough review of all the fees the city has, and I would just make the comment from a financial standpoint that, you know, you've got some that it costs more to process than what you're collecting. And so, I do think that there's a legitimacy to administrative fees so that the city doesn't lose money on processing something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mayor, the other thing too, if we could consider this, and I talked to, I guess, Mr. Springer this morning, just a point of concern, and not really concern, but, you know, as a business owner and administrative person, sometimes 30 days just sneaks up on you, and I just asked if we could look at 45 days, because, you know, you're trying to close your books, trying to, you know, get your revenue, do your billing, et cetera. And if we gave them just a little bit more time, 45 days versus 30 days, to me, that would be a little bit more forgiving for.
Is this on, you talking about on the initial?
Yeah, or just,
Well, we've,
you know, your
On
annual,
the
your
annual.
annual cycle.
Yeah.
But
If that
annuals
doesn't-
happen all through the year.
They do,
Yeah.
and so
So,
I
I mean, it's not like at the end of.
no, I understand, it's every month, and then they get paid, they charge $30 if it's even a partial month late, so they could be 2 days late, or whatever, and they'd have to pay the whole $25 fee for late, activity. But my thinking is if you could give just a 45-day window each year, that's more business friendly, and these guys are the ones producing our revenue. I mean, that's the way I look at it. They're making deals, so that was my only thought about it. Yeah, thank you.
Just submit kind of any
Sure.
amendments to this, and we'll put them
I
out
can
there
do
for
that.
everybody to consider.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Let's see. Ordinance 154831, first reading authorized line item transfer for the waste treatment. Just more to cover for the flood study that we're doing to see if the usable land that we have available. This is also where we're looking at putting the solar system.
And the West Virginia project, just real quickly, the sewer plant, there's a lot of property down there. A lot of modifications years, so what you do, it's in the partial floodplain report. We're trying to do a modified study to determine what is usable down there for this project, whether it's future expansion. So that's what this is about. So this West Virginia project sort of forces us to address this, we thought we ought to do that, so we determine, do we have, 20 acres that's good to use, where we have 5 good to use. That's what we're going to do, is look at the FEMA study, redo it, reprocess it, submit the thing, and get it revised, so we know as a city what we have land out there to actually use. So that's the purpose of the study.
Because a lot
Yeah,
of
we
those,
we don't have personnel that can do a flood study,
Not this kind of study.
not this.
huh?
Not this kind of study.
Well, have you checked with the Corps of Engineers, it looks flooded, as we
They will not,
had it.
no, they won't do anything like this. If you,
Huh?
no, they won't do anything like this. See,
I'm saying they might already have
they
records.
do have a study. It's old. We're updated to what currently out there. We expand on it years, but the floodplain's changed in the area. We're gonna modify their study. That's what we're gonna do. Resubmit it. We'll know exactly what we have. That's the base map is their study. That's the base study.
Jeff,
Fred, there's a lot of properties that used to be in the flood zone and area, which after the new studies that have been done are no longer. There's also some that weren't in it before, now are. So what it is, we're trying to get an updated study for this area so we know when we put something in there that we're not going to be in violation.
Mayor, the one question I had, and I don't recall, is this our land or not?
I was on that, actually.
Okay, but I remember we talked about buying it, then we didn't, and then now we did.
It's just a study about current.
Okay,
what
I
our
just need to be up to speed,
Our
'cause-
property.
yeah,
It's our
okay.
property.
Who's gonna get to do it is charging us $14,000?
It's a private consultant. It's a
Huh?
private consultant. It's a specialized, this is a specialized study. It's not a routine, something everybody can come in and do. It's specialized. Only 2 or 3 folks, I didn't make any specific.
It's the same folks that did our other water studies.
They're one, I'm not sure, it's one of those 2. Yeah, they are no longer 11, that's wrong. It's either.
They're local?
They're named.
Okay.
There's nobody in 11 that does it.
No, I didn't think so. Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Mayor, need a motion and a
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry, I thought we already had these. All right, I need a motion.
So moved.
Have a first? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Ordinance 154832, first reading to approve amendment to the agreement with the Simpson Energy to install canopy lights for the compressed natural gas station.
Second.
Have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Ordinance 154833, first reading to change property at 96 Franklin Road.
That's Ward 3, motion to approve.
I have the first
Second.
and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Mayor, can I just point out, this is one more thing, and it's probably, we're not in the same group, but did we not agree that we would have the ward numbers on these zonings? Chad?
I think, yeah,
I thought we talked about that, I wasn't sure.
we have, and all I'm trying to make sure that.
Okay, thank you.
Ordinance 154834, first reading to authorize the purchase of a gun explosive detection canine. I have a first and a second.
Just one question. Mike, who's gonna? Sorry, I made you disturb you. Who's gonna be our trainer? Who's gonna be the designated?
Who's gonna be the trainer?
I mean, no, not the trainer, but the person that's the handler.
It's
Maybe
been a
that's-
team.
Okay, I didn't have the right word.
The trainer's in, he's the,
Yeah, that's right, that's
pretty
the
much everybody
company.
in
yeah.
Tennessee.
I got you. Okay, great, I was just curious. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. And, let me thank you.